Hello, faith leaders, and welcome to Breatime. Today we are in Psalm 9:5 and 9:6. It says these words: "You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. Endless ruin has overtaken my enemies. You have uprooted their cities. Even the memory of them has perished." David is talking about the righteousness of God, how God being our righteous judge. And this is the interesting thing. God oversees all. He sees it all. This scripture reminds me of this, to the place that he is going to take care of those that are the enemies of this world. He's got a place. But I know that God continues to try, by his grace through Jesus Christ, continues to try to awaken the people that are apart from him, that have chosen a different path, that have chosen a different way. We have the Spirit of God that's still alive. So my prayer still goes to the enemies of this world. But one thing that we need to remember, that we don't need to live vengefully. This is what David always comes back to, that God is his righteous judge. And what's awesome, that interested me so much about David, is when Saul was chasing him, he had a chance to kill him, but he knew that he was God's anointed one. Even though he was after Saul, David's perspective was not on David. Isn't that cool? It's like, somebody comes after you, you got to get even with them. No, David's perspective was knowing that God was a righteous judge and that God could take care of Saul. David didn't have to take care of Saul, even though he was trying to kill him. That kind of thinking is not kind of thinking that resonates really well, even in our greatest imaginations, that God is going to take care of those who have brought harm to you, who have brought harm to me. It's not our place to vengefully go after them. God he takes care of them. It's so much so that their names are remembered no more, according to what this passage of scripture says in this. But David had enemies chasing him. David fought only the battles that God was giving him to fight. Otherwise, he wouldn't go. I love that about David too. But even the person that killed Saul eventually, do you know David actually had them even put to death? That just enlightens my mind again, that we're not to be vengeful people. As a matter of fact, in the New Testament, it says, someone strikes you on the cheek, turn to them turn them your other cheek as well. Because in the end, we have to remember that this is just not, what we're seeing here is so temporary. But in the end, we don't want our hearts to come before God as vengeful, spiteful people that are trying to get even. That, my goodness, I'm going to spend that much time trying to get even with my enemies. Leave it up to God. Let that be God's job. You let your job be in continuing to turn the other cheek, continuing to forgive. Don't waste your time and energy going after those who have come after you, because that's God's job. And it wastes so much time. It wastes so much space in our life that God has set apart for him. In the end, there is a righteous judge, I think it'd be good to start our days knowing that, and ending our days knowing that when we've been harmed, God, you are the righteous judge, not me. Your ways are higher.